Well, the new steed needs some work, so stick around. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Chris.
I'm Link.
And today we got some work to do on the new dirt bike in the fleet. So we picked up this 2004 CRF250R. We rode it a little bit last year, but I bought it off of a friend of mine, and it needs some work. So one thing is this throttle is sticking. So why don't you come here, Link? We'll show everybody how it's sticking. So we're not sure what's going on. We think it's something inside, but when you turn the throttle, oh, of course, it's not going to do it now. What? Okay, it's not doing it right now, but it was sticking and it would stay there. So we're going to take this all apart. I think there just might be some dirt and grime in there. Number two is this carb. I think it needs to be cleaned and jetted because this dirt bike is, I almost said sled. This dirt bike has been in storage for over 12 years, and I've only fired it up twice in those 12 years. Once was last year. So we're going to take the carb apart, we're going to clean it, and we're going to probably rejet it because I don't know if it's jetted for around here at our elevation of right around 2,500 feet. And the most important thing is this back wheel. So a couple of years ago, we noticed that the spokes were all loose on this back wheel. And so I tightened them all up and everything. And I don't know if the bike has 8 hours of riding time on it. And the back wheel's all loose again. So come look down here, Link, and we'll show everybody how that's not right. So we were thinking about trying to fix this ourselves, but because I've already fixed it once and it's not done properly, I think we're just going to show you guys how to pull the wheel off, and we might take this to the Honda dealer, or no, we'll take it to the Yamaha dealer. We like those guys better. We'll take it over there and see if they can fix it up so this doesn't happen again. All right, Link. So first thing we got to do is we got to pull this tire. So there's a couple ways you can do it. You have these axle adjuster blocks that have the built-in adjuster bolt. So you can loosen this lock nut and then you can back that off. But there's already good slack in the chain here. So I think that if we just pull the axle and the axle blocks, this will slide forward enough that we can pull the chain off. So that's what we're going to do. Don't worry about if the chain's set up properly or not once we're done. We're just going to follow these instructions right here on the swing arm, or check your manual to set that tension properly. So this bike here, obviously you can see that the axle is held in place. So we've got 1.25 inches that fits this rear nut on this side of the axle. So we're going to take this nut right off. And this is something where you want to make sure that you remember the order of the washers and the spacers, and if there's anything else. We've talked about that before in some of our other videos. Okay, so there's our washer and our nut. Whoop, hang on. Link, you should have grabbed me a hammer. I'm going to grab a plastic dead blow hammer so we don't damage the threads on the axle. Pull the axle adjusting block out. Keep going. Holy, that's really in there, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay. Pause for a sec. We're going to reevaluate. And now you can see it's got this shoulder, so it'll fit in the axle. Woo! Okay, on the other side, it fits into the axle, but it won't damage the threads and it won't push all the way through. That shoulder catches this side. So we'll put that in and we'll try that. See if we can hammer it out the rest of the way. Whew! This thing is not great. This is very hard to pull out because there's dry grease and everything in there. It hasn't been out in years. Okay. Okay, so the punch is almost all the way through and the bolt's not quite, or sorry, the punch is almost as far as I can hit it. It's not all the way through. So you can use an extension on the end of the punch, get her the rest of the way. Hold the bike there, Link.
Yeah.
Push it back up on the stand, buddy. Oh.
More on there, yeah?
Yeah, you got her?
Yeah.
Okay. That's out. So now we can slide this all the way ahead, pull this chain off, just like that. And the whole wheel comes right out. This brake caliper is in the way. Let's see here. I think if we, oh, for crying out loud. It's caught on the swing arm, so it slides in that bracket on the swing arm there. There we go. All right. So now, yeah. This is where I was talking about paying attention with the spacers and that. See, so there's a spacer there, and there's one on this side. Make sure we keep that order proper. And when we go to put this back together, we will make sure we check our bearings. And we will probably re-grease everything before we put it back together.
One eternity later.
Well, it's been a hot minute since we've been on. Hey, Link?
Yeah, it has.
So we've been really busy with camping and a few other things, but we got some exciting stuff happening. So back to this bike. We took the wheel into the bike shop. They fixed it all up for us there, and they did a great job. They replaced all the bearings and the seals. They re-greased it all, and they tightened up all the spokes and stuff like that. So hopefully this doesn't come apart again or loosen off on us. But we still got to put the sprocket and the brake rotor back on. And of course, if you guys saw earlier in the video how hard this axle was to come out, we're going to clean all this stuff up. So follow along, and we're just going to clean this all up with some degreaser, brake cleaner, maybe wire wheel, and then we're just going to put everything back together and torque it up. All right, so Link and I got this all cleaned up. We tried using some brake clean, the grease didn't come off, so Link got after it with the wire brush on the bench grinder. And we're going to reassemble these spacers to the wheel, and everything slides nicely now. There's a lot of grease in the wheel, so we're just going to put the spacers back in. One on each side. Forget your sea legs there, buddy, or what?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so now this is just the reverse order of how we took it off. So we're going to slide this in here. Link, you want to get that axle ready?
Yes.
Dang tire. Okay. So we'll get this in there like so. And get this into the swing arm and the brake caliper at the same time, if we can. Man. just doesn't want to go. There we are. Okay. Is it lined up there, Link, or not really?
Not quite.
Which way has it got to go, buddy?
Down.
Got to go down?
Yeah.
Okay, something's holding it up here. Lining up at all? I can't see.
Not yet. I think we gotta push this in somehow and push it down.
What's that?
Gotta push the bottom in and push it down somehow because it's like caught.
What's it caught on? Oh, the spacer's falling out.
Yeah. Just push it in or something.
Nope.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, can you slide the axle in? Get the, hang on, buddy.
The hammer.
Tap it home. Hang on. Okay, keep going. Okay, so the block has to fit in there too, right?
Yeah.
So we have to, hang on, buddy, give me that hammer. Okay, now we just gotta twist the axle a little bit.
Yep.
Get it to line up. Just like that. Almost. And we drove her home. Whew. Now we just gotta put the chain back on. All right, we did that before with the that's probably not good for the chain block. There we go. Okay, pass me the other pieces there, buddy. This other adjuster block in there. The washer and the nut. Now, before we go and tighten this up, we'll make sure it's up against the adjuster blocks all the way. And then once we snug it up, it'll be right back to where it was. And we'll just double check the chain tension. And you know how to check the chain tension, buddy?
By lifting it with your
No,
finger?
it tells you right there on the swing arm.
Oh.
So we'll tighten that up, check the chain tension, and we're good to go.
One eternity later.
All right, so it's been a bit since the last part of this video where we took the wheel off and then put it back together. We've been super busy with work and with school, and just life gets in the way. So we're back working on the old 250R. So we're gonna take this apart. The throttle was sticking, but of course it's not doing it now. So we're gonna take the throttle apart first, and we're gonna have a look at that. So let's grab some tools and we'll get into that. All right, so first thing, we're gonna pull this rubber cover, this protector off where the cables go in. So you have two cables on your throttle, one's a push and one's a pull. So that way it kind of goes back and forth. We're not gonna adjust those at all. Now we're gonna pull these two bolts out. This housing will split. The throttle tube is stuck inside here. It should come off, but we're just gonna look for any kind of dirt or junk or signs of wear and tear. These are 8mm head bolts. So this should split throttle cable there, throttle cable there. So those are the two throttle cables into the throttle tube. So if we pop each one of these out, okay, so throttle tube and the bar, obviously that is not the problem. So let's see, what about, well, you know what, Link? This is kind of gummy and sticky right in here on both ends. The cable doesn't feel gummy. I think it's just the ends. So we'll clean these up with some brake cleaner and we'll hit them with a very light style of lubricant. And then that hopefully is all that we need to do with that one. Okay, so we cleaned up all the grease and the schmeggies from the two cables and the housing here. So we're just going to put it all back together, kind of exactly how it came apart. And then we're just going to hit some of the spots with a little bit of light lubricant. And we're just going to use WD-40. And then put her back together. Should be good to go. So that should fit into, how'd that go, buddy?
Something like that.
What's in here?
That's just the way it is.
We'll find out. I don't know what I'm doing. Just kidding. See, now this is trick, get that cable up into that plastic piece. Like that. That's one right there. See, if you don't put that in right, the cable will not spin in the housing. Yeah. There we go. Okay. I don't want that to push too tight on the end there. Ooh, smooth as butter. And that's as far in as it goes because it's got a stopper right there on the master cylinder. Okay, we'll just grab a torque wrench. We'll make sure this is torqued to the right spec. But there we go. Job done. We'll move on to the carburetor.
So next we're working on the carb because it's hard to start and it's been sitting so long. And we're going to clean it. We're going to make sure there's no junk in there. And to do that, we're going to need to remove the seat, the rear plastics, possibly the airbox, and the subframe. Well, that was a struggle, but now we got that off. We have to try and finesse this carb out of here. It's in a pretty tight spot. But to give ourselves a little extra room, we're going to take off the front plastics and fuel tank here, and it'll take like 3 seconds, so it's fine.
Okay, so we ended up taking the rear shock out. I'm sure you saw in the time lapse, just because like it gave us tons more room, and I mean like it was 2 bolts, so not a big deal. Then to get the carb out, we had to disconnect the hot start lever, the 2 throttle cables, and then there's like a throttle position sensor that we took out, which I should have marked before we took it out, but I kind of have an idea where it was, so hopefully that'll be okay. Anyway, so now we got the carb on the bench. We're going to dismantle the carb, and then we're going to use our fancy new ultrasonic cleaner to try and clean up some of the parts. We're going to check the jet, like Link said earlier, make sure that it's jetted properly, and then we'll just reassemble it and get her back together. All right, well, we got the carb disassembled to where I'm comfortable taking it apart. So there's like, there's an electronic sensor right here in the top. And this is where the throttle is. It pulls on the slider, and here's your stop and your throttle stop and stuff like that. We don't really need to take all that stuff apart. Like we can take the choke out here. We're going to just blow air through all the little orifices and holes and make sure that's all good. Actually, you know what, Link? We should probably take the top off and we'll check the needle position. So we'll do that yet. But anyway, so now we have like this little fuel pump looking thing and the float bowl, and we have all the jets and all of that stuff. And we're going to use the ultrasonic cleaner. So we're going to get that all set up and we'll put it in there. Stay tuned. We'll have a separate video for the ultrasonic parts cleaner. Anyway, once we get this all cleaned up, we'll get it all back together. Actually, no, Link, we got to make sure we have the right jets. So we'll take down the bike information and we'll go to the dealership and we'll make sure we have the right jets. We're still going to clean all this stuff up and make a video on that. So anyway, stay tuned. Well, Link, we got all our parts cleaned up for the carb. All the internals anyway, and now it's time to put it back together. So we'll just put it all back in the same order we took it apart, but we're also going to make sure that we blow out all the little orifices and passages on the carburetor body, and yeah, we'll get this thing back together and follow along. Cool. All right. Well, look at this. We got our carburetor all cleaned up. I know the outside doesn't look super clean, but inside is what's most important. So it's clean. So we're going to put this thing back into the bike. Just follow along the time lapse. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just the way we took it out is how it's going back in. And we're just one step further to putting this thing all back together and getting it running.
All right, so we just put the carb on, put the airbox on with the subframe, put all the lines back to where they were, or for the most part, and now we're just going to keep chipping away and putting on all the plastics, the muffler, and the fuel tank. So now we got it all put back together except for the fuel line because we're going to drain the gas. Probably should have done that earlier, but we're going to drain it, put a new one in, and get it running.
Alright, we got everything back together. Took our mics off because they don't do good with loud noises. Moment of truth, son.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
So we're going to try and start this thing. I got the gas turned on. We got fresh gas in it. Well, let's try it. Ouch! I think I need to change into some boots.
One eternity later.
Alright, so after fighting and fighting, my buddy Dylan came over because he's got a Honda bike and we figured out the easy way to start this thing. I don't care what anybody says online, just a little touch of throttle, choke on when it's cold, and when it's hot, choke off. I'll show you right now. All right, everybody, we're back. It's been 24 hours of the bike sitting here in the shop, and it's been very cold out today. For June, it only hit like, I think 14 degrees. So in the shop here, it's only 15 degrees Celsius. So we're gonna try the same technique and see if we can get the bike to start. I'm gonna do choke and just part throttle, and we'll see what happens. What do you think, Lincoln?
I think it'll go. I think it will.
Okay, we'll see if it does. We know we've got the technique for this son of a gun figured out. All right, Link, that was it.
Yeah, it did go.
Yeah, my foot hurts, but I mean, whatever. I'm gonna be wearing moto boots, but yeah. So choke's on, just barely part throttle at all, and away it goes. So that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you in the next one.